Everyone can hear me okay? At the back? Good? Okay. Before I start, let me introduce Fred, who will represent OBA on our panel. Fred is in charge of operations, right, in OBA, so he knows exactly what we're doing for OBA. You can ask him about it afterwards. Also, I want to thank our speakers just now for keeping your presentations succinct. It was really helpful. Gives us a bit more time for Q&A. So let's shoot straight for it. I aim to finish by 4, so we don't have much time. And I invite questions. You can ask questions as follow-ups on the presentations, or you can ask questions on something that hasn't been presented, but you're dying to know. So, anyone? Yes, madam.
What I liked about a lot of the we heard a lot about the technology, and it's really cutting edge, amazing.
Can I ask you to?
Sorry, my name is.
Tell us where you're from.
Yes, hi. My name is Kim Lovely, and I'm with Lovely 3C. It's a marketing agency. So I'm always interested in, I guess, the message, what's behind all of this. And we heard a lot about amazing technologies, but what I'm also interested in is exploring the greater good. Like, there's a lot of greater good, like the societal purpose of a lot of these products. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about exploring a little bit more about that beyond the technology, the things that you stand for.
Joe, you take this?
Thanks for the question. So there is a very big angle when it comes to societal good as well, the bigger good. But I guess for our company itself, we like to solve problems. And one of the problems that we saw last year was a very big media coverage where we saw children in a very difficult situation and they can't express themselves. So faced with that problem, we were actually working with some of you here who actually looked at critical infrastructure and how people actually use technology to identify similar problems, but in grown-ups, right? Problems, for example, people fighting, very aggressive behavior, people, in a very falling over, hurting themselves, for example, intentionally. So we then thought to ourselves, how can I actually use this technology to make things better? And that's where we started from. And we were very pleased to start to work with, government agencies such as People's Association to solve some of their problems. And from that itself, we then evolved a lot further and started to work with different educational companies. We are very, very pleased to partner with OBA because they have got a real good foresight about how to solve this, what are the pain points and how we can actually help them. It is for the good because there's no money to be made in some of these special cases. Let me give you an example. So one of the areas that I think Sheila was looking at is in terms of how educators can actually address autism. And that's something that I suspect will be difficult for many companies to come up with a solution to solve it because they do not have the data set, but OBA has. So we are very privileged to be able to partner with them, use information, use their, this pain point, and try to solve their problem. I'm not sure whether it will be successful, but we will give it a good go. So there is a social element to what we do, and we hope that, our efforts would also appeal to the wider audience in various companies or potential customers, as well as the regulators here in Singapore.
Maybe I give you another example of what good our products can do. We sell lots of locks in Indonesia, right? Tens of thousands of them. And they're used to lock up telecom towers. Indonesia is a big country. When you want cell service, you gotta have telecom towers all over and in remote places. And they're expensive things on these towers, so they need to be locked up. But engineers need to visit once in a while to maintain, make sure all the stuff is there. In the old lock and key system, right, the keys are kept in one place. You need to visit a tower, first you need to go to where the keys are kept. You make a journey, right? And then you get your key, you go to the tower. Assuming it's the right key, you can open up, you can do your work, fine, lock up, and then you have to return your key. You have to make the journey back and return your key. And that's 3 trips, right? With our locks now, you make 1 trip because you don't need keys anymore. You go straight to the site. Either you already have access or we will give you access remotely and you can do your work. And that's why on your slide, it says for every one of our locks, we can save a ton of CO2 emissions. A whole ton. And we have like 50,000 locks in Indonesia. That's a lot of CO2 saved. So that's another good, right? Can I invite another question? Yes, gentleman at the back.
Hi, hello. Yeah, I'm Vincent from Boys Town. We are actually now working with Joseph to actually apply some of the
Vincent, maybe, everyone, I assume not everyone knows what Boys Town is. Maybe you can talk a bit about Boys Town.
Organization where we actually take in boys that is actually appointed to us by the courts and everything, and they stay with us and stuff like that. Yeah. So
It's like
it's actually
a home for naughty boys, basically.
not exactly.
Mostly boys, right? You also have girls,
correct,
but mostly
correct.
boys.
Yeah. Okay, so we're actually trying to apply some of the technologies into our organization. So in our discussion previously, that we were talking about AI to detect fighting. The last time when I spoke to Joseph, I think it was not clear that the differentiation between an actual fight and a rough play. So what is the development in this area? That's my first question. And yeah.
You have another question?
And the second question is actually more for IMDA, because as we are a non-profit organization, so you guys are actually supporting the developers in terms of technology. What about the users or people like us who actually requires funding and everything to adopt the technology? What kind of support do we have? So these are the questions.
Okay, maybe I'll answer the first question. The second question I will defer to one of the IMDA team in the audience. So I think that was a very good question, and we actually customized our solution to address that specifically. So what we've done is that we have been able to identify, using footages itself, we can actually identify in terms of fighting and rough play, and we actually classify them very differently. So if it's if it's aggressive behavior, the duration will be shorter. We use the skeletal movement itself to actually identify that. And the alert that it generates needs to be very specific. Is aggressive behavior or is rough play? Right? So we actually classify them correctly, right? Because that rough play might end up with an injury. So we have actually changed our classification structure altogether. The second one is in terms of fighting. Fighting will be very aggressive behavior. All the skeletal movement is accelerating at the settings that we have, and a longer duration of time. All right? And with that itself, then we will escalate the priority of that particular warning from a medium to high setting. So I think for your requirement itself, we will definitely work with you, and then make sure that we have the right level of details that's required, because what we want to do is to reduce any false positives, and we only want to focus on areas that definitely need some human checks, and to make sure that you can actually address those issues. Yeah. Yep.
Vince, I used to run prisons, so I can understand the problem. The thing is, right now, you have nothing, right? You don't know whether they're fighting or not. You're blind, right?
We are depending on our deals to...
Yeah, of course they're not going to fight in front of you, right? They want to fight when you're not around. So you're essentially blind. So anything that will make you less blind is actually already an improvement, right? Okay. The technology improves. And of course, certainly if you adopt our system, we are going to work with you to make make sure that it works as best as it can. And it serves two purposes. Number one is, first we want to detect fighting, right? So that we can intervene quickly, so that no one gets really hurt or seriously hurt. But more importantly, once you have a good system, it actually deters fighting. So people don't fight anymore because they know they can't get away with it, right? So this versus, now that you're applying, I think this is a huge improvement. I don't know if there are any grants available for Boys Town, but certainly we can take that offline and we can work. Can I invite another question?
Sorry, actually I do.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, this is actually with reference to the new technology that you guys are having where it actually detects the breathing in the heart. So I think I've also spoken to Joseph on this, is like, if let's say our boys in the middle of the night, they have, they start having nightmares, they start being stressed because of whatever reasons, is this new system able to detect the changes in the breathing and the stuff?
Yeah, so this particular sensor that we've designed is actually for the toilets, but we believe that you can also be actually put it near the bed to detect all this abnormally. So what it does is that it monitors two aspects. The first one is the heart rate. The second one is in the breathing, right? So with these two elements itself, you can then better judge to see if there's a nightmare happening or whatever. So the application that we have today is more for the toilets, but we do see an application as per what your suggestion is as well.
So it will send a signal to the control station?
That's correct. That's correct. It will send a signal to the command station, the control station. And the command station will then send a command to the mobile.
I don't think that's a difficult problem to solve. And if you can make the kids or the boys wear something like our Apple Watches, you can measure that easily. Okay, can I invite some more questions? Maybe directed at our other panelists. No?
I've got a question for Fred.
Okay, question for Fred.
I've got a question for Fred. And I think that question is in terms of, where do you actually see the expectations of parents when it comes to the expectations of schools? Because I know that you guys have a lot of seminars to collect information from parents. So we'd like to find out a little bit about feedback in terms of what they expect in the education sector.
All right, thanks. Well, you see, how we help to communicate with the parents is we have quarterly parental talks run, and then part of these measures that we roll out, we keep them updated on new programs, new infrastructure, new security measures that we are implementing. The expectation, in Singapore, with working parents and the small family, nucleus family, one or two child become very precious. Into the extent that we are actually doing photo check-in every day, make sure that we send this photo of their kids in our center safely. We send to the parents to assure them that their kids are safely in our center. 4 o'clock, very nicely, have another photo of tea break, Milo. So all these are building up because the parents expect children care centers to give our best safety, security, right? So we know that small families raise up to a lot of expectation on service providers. So we're very cognizant of the fact, and with this enhancement through Willowmore, I think it will definitely be a good assurance to our parents. Look, now you have additional technology, AI, your child is protected in the sense that whenever there's rough play or even fights and all that, our teachers will be able to address it on the spot, rather than you see a bruise, when they come to the pick up the child, you see the bruise and it's already post-mortem, as opposed to immediately we can address. So I think demographics-wise, the parents, increasingly you'll see more demand from the parents, higher expectation. And one selling point for OBA is really, alternate to sending their kids to OBA, they will go back home. And go back home, usually we have a domestic helper. Domestic helper most of the time is also on their phone. They are not able to guide the children at home. And sometimes, with grandparents are also watching YouTube. Right? So everybody is on their devices, so the kid is left alone. So there's no meaningful, and it's a good 6 to 7 hours, right? There's no meaningful engagement, and the kids just go do their own things and don't even do their homework. So there's that gap that I think OBA will help to support in terms of coming to our center. You do meaningful work, you do your homework, do your things here, everything else. By the time you're done at 7 p.m., you can go back home to relax, you can play your devices. So we make sure that they are well guided during their time. So that is our offering to the parents. All right, thanks.
So one follow-up question. If not, Joe, I want to ask you, because today we heard from 2 use cases, right? We heard from CBM, who manages buildings, great big buildings. We heard from OBA, children, essentially young people. But in the audience, there are also people who are from regular schools, right? State schools. There are people who run worker dogs, right? I think there are also people from the telecom companies, and also people who are hoping to be chosen to implement the police's new generation smart cameras. So these are all diverse use cases, but we feel in Willowmore we can add value to and solve some of the problems that they all face in their different areas. Joseph, you want to speak more on this?
I will, and I will deflect it a little bit. The reason why I'm saying that is because I always ask myself if I've got a day of 24 hours, how much time do I spend on each different aspects of what we're doing. And one of the areas that, at least for this week, more than 50% of my time is actually spent on one specific use case, which is integrated FM and AFM, because it's encompassing a lot of the things that everybody is interested about.
What's AFM?
IFM is what Derek has spoken about. It's integrating different services, cleaning with security, with that's why you see cleaning robots here. That's why you see all the sensors, because it's all intertwined. Right? So that's one area. Aggregator is what Derek mentioned about different buildings putting it together. So I think in terms of what's next, we are actually not only using our own logs, we are not just using our own CCTV and VA and sensors. We are now becoming a platform where we are able to integrate with not just our own products, but the products of others. So my deflection now is for me to pass the mic over to Derek to maybe share a little bit about what you're doing in this space together with us.
So essentially CBM, we have different kind of contracts. So we have siloed contracts, like just a security contract, or we have different contracts. And there's also another model where we call it integrated FM, where we have different contracts being offered into the property itself. So we have M&E, we have premium, we have security. So for us itself, when we started out, we were very siloed in terms of, because the way the contracts are being awarded, so some contracts are there only for specific services. So for those specific services, we only offered a single solution in a sense. But when it comes to diverse offerings of different services across M&E, cleaning, and solution, we need to have integrated platform whereby the information can be flowing across. Because on the site itself, imagine if you have 3 services, you probably need 3 supervisors on the ground to manage their respective services. So when you look at your cost in terms of integration, you have one person that can be the overall person in charge. Any problem, you can come to that person and you will be able to direct to the right support persons and fulfill the fault cases and so on. So from that perspective itself, we can see that an integrated platform is the way to go. And we are requested for it to be very versatile, such that, example, if building A only requires service A and B, then you don't have to include C in a sense, but it can be a combination of A and B, A and C, and so on. So in that sense, we are seeing that from the perspective of a service provider to a service by itself, that you can be versatile to meet all the requirements per se. And what this does is actually to save the cost, right? Because for every kind of service that we put in, if you were to put in siloed services, end of the day, the services may not talk to each other. So that is what we are after. But I would say from an ecosystem point of view, we are looking beyond that. The fact that we are trying to work with Willowmore to open up the system, the platform itself, to other, we call them Cat 1, which are essentially the subcontractors. So subcontractors could be waste management, they could be in cleaning, they could be in other areas also. And we want to extend to them because CBM will provide all kinds of services, for example. So we want to extend to our subcontractors the same systems and the flexibility to be able to say a task is being done and goes. So we have visibility across the board from a single contract perspective in that sense. So I hope that will help you understand when we talk about IFM and AFM, how this one will provide the versatility to the various kind of services that we provide in that sense.
We have maybe 5 more minutes. Your last chance, and any questions? Okay, if not, I'm going to do the usual summing up. Right? I invite every panelist to just add the last words and what you didn't get to say in the presentation, and leave a thought food for thought for our audience. Okay. Start with you.
Thank you. So if you forgot anything that I presented, remember the last slide where I said the lean fighting machine. So I seriously mean that in terms of iteration for transformation. Every company have limited resources and capabilities, and through partnership we can actually grow. So for ourselves, even though CBM is, I would say, a large local enterprise, but we also need to work with partners to enrich and grow the economy per se. And the angle I want to pitch is from the point of ecosystem. We don't provide all kinds of services, so we leverage partners in the respective areas to provide the services to complete the contract in that sense. So we are open to having work collaborated with Willowmore on the platform for that portion.
Right, so I look across the audience, I think half of you are already sold with what Willowmore is trying to partner you with, all right? The other half, you're sitting on the fence. So for those sitting on the fence, let me give advice, a simple word, a simple phrase, right? Believing is seeing, seeing is believing. So what do I mean by that? Believing is seeing. If you need to pitch to your management, you need to give them the vision, what this new system can provide. Believing, having the vision. And when they start to have the vision, things will move. They'll give you the emphasis, they give you the budget, they give you the resources. So that's from the top management. Seeing is believing. At the implementation stage on the ground, you need to take care of the staff. Why is this change required? Slowly you educate them, you train them, you have support structures along the way. When you see that things are working and making it happen for them, increasing their productivity, when they see it, right, seeing is believing. So at different level, you need to think about using this phrase to help you implement this change. All right, so I leave you with that thought. Thank you.
So if someone is running a kindergarten or a preschool and they want to see what you guys are doing, will you?
On a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Right.
Well, contact us. We will work something out. Joe.
Thanks, Julie. So I think as a closing remark, I really appreciate everybody's time. It was really good engagement. Everybody I met, has really good inputs and really treasure what you say. I think if one last word for me is that see us as a company that solves problems. I think whatever logs you see, whatever platforms you see, sensors that you see, all the AI that you see, one thing that they cannot solve is solving problems, because everybody's problem is unique. We recognize that, and our job is to first of all listen to you, and then work out a plan, and then solve your problems. So if you go away and if you have any problems, just give us a ring, send us an email, reach out to us, and we'll be glad to reach out to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. With that, can we thank the panelists? And I hope that they have given us food for thought and something to think about. Thank you.